Even the best sacrifice without obedience means nothing. That realization really hit me reading 1 Samuel chapter 15 today. This chapter is all about Saul's disobedience and how the Lord rejects him as the king of Israel. Samuel tells Saul, this is what the Lord wants you to do. He wants Saul to go attack the Amalekites and completely destroy everything they have. He wants them all gone, all of them, even the animals. What does Saul do? He and his troops, they spare the king, and they keep the best sheep, goats, cattle, and choice of animals, as well as young rams and the best of everything else. This is verse 9. Basically, he disobeys God. The Lord then says, I regret that I made Saul king, for he has turned away from following me and has not carried out my instruction. Now, this means God feels genuine sorrow when contemplating Saul's sin. This doesn't mean that God thinks his decision to make Saul king was a mistake in his plans for history. When confronted by Samuel, Saul makes up an excuse. In verse 15, he says, the troops brought them from the Amalekites and spared the best sheep, goats, and cattle in order to offer a sacrifice to the Lord your God, but the rest we destroyed. So Saul's excuse for his disobedience, it contradicts the facts. He was caught in a lie, basically. And Samuel tells him how it is. In verse 19, it says, so why didn't you obey the Lord? Why did you rush on the plunder and do what is evil in the Lord's sight? Why should Saul, as God's anointed king, yield to the people's opinions over God's direction? Can anybody relate to that? Saul failed to lead his people to God. And this is when it really hit me. Saul says, but I did obey the Lord. I went on the mission the Lord gave me, and I brought back all of this stuff like I did what I was supposed to. Another excuse. Then Samuel says, does the Lord take pleasure in burnt offerings and sacrifices as much in obeying the Lord? Look, to obey is better than sacrifice. To pay attention is better than the fat of rams. Even the best sacrifice without obedience means nothing. You can do all these amazing works that you think are great, but if you're not obedient, it means nothing. The chapter ends with Samuel telling Saul that he's out. He is no longer the king. Saul does admit to his sin, though.